Welcome back to another episode of Band Director Bootcamp, where we provide productivity and wellness tips for busy band directors. And I'm really happy you're here today because I've already benefited from what I've learned from today's guest, and I'm stealing what he's going to share with you all at the end of the show. So hang on, because you're about to get a great tip and a little gift at the end of this show. My guest today is Josh Brandon. He's from Northeast Georgia, but he comes here. He's got 16 years of teaching experience, all the way from K-12, including college. And now he's in, I believe, the 6th year teaching high school band. And so he has learned a lot. He's had to become very organized. Having been through all of this, he can speak to band directors of lots of different experiences and to all of us in different situations. So I'm really excited to bring him on, and I'm going to let Josh tell us a little bit about himself, maybe a little bit about why he became a teacher or a band director here. And then we're going to dig in, and you're going to get an awesome productivity tip. Josh, take it away.
So I am originally from Alabama. I grew up in Birmingham, and I went for my undergrad to Jacksonville State University, Jacksonville, Alabama. And then soon after graduation, I moved to Georgia to begin teaching, and taught for 4 or 5 years in middle Georgia area, and worked on my master's at the same time at Georgia College and Georgia College and State University. Around that time, I met my wife, who was finishing nursing school, and we got married, and we both moved to Athens, where she started her nursing career, and I started my doctoral studies at the University of Georgia, where I graduated from there in 2017. Really, the reason I got into band directing, I tell people all the time, I kind of fell into it. It was a backup for me initially. And when I got to student teaching, I fell in love with it. And I had a phenomenal high school band experience. And that played a big part of it too, and had a very close relationship with my high school director. And so I feel a lot of my job, what I currently do now, is I do teach, but I feel a lot of my job is my personal ministry to students, and just, being there as a mentor, and sometimes as a parent to some of my kids, and just really enjoy getting to just kind of help shape kids and help them be the best versions of themselves. So.
Awesome. Well, welcome. I'm going to jump in with yours because you have a productivity tip today. And I want you to explain what you did, because out of necessity here, and then we'll go and we'll talk about why this all came about. But let's talk about this tool that you have that you're going to share with us later.
So basically, especially where I currently am now, like there's sometimes there's just a cadence of events and things, whether it be here at the school or in our county or district, within our state music ed organization, that for the most part, I will say, like, for the most part, I do pretty well remembering most of it, but there are some times where, whether it be, outside circumstances that don't always happen, that take place, and to where I get distracted or I forget. So it really challenged me a year ago, last July, to put together a yearly to-do list. And on my to-do list, it's specific to my job. But I have helped other director friends of mine do, work on this project for that they can, do this work for themselves. But mine is broken into categories based on school events, based on, marching band, concert band, based on like our state music ed deadlines, as far as like registering for all state or district honor band. And so last year, I would basically, a month while I was in the month that I'm in, so like July, I would work on July's. August, I would work on August's. And as we're talking now, I just finished May's, all the things that I would have to do. So the goal is that this is, not a set binding document, but it's something that's kind of organic, and that's something that's very adaptable to change, of things, not only to think about of what I need to do this month, but also things I need to be thinking about, for the future. And a lot of those kind of ideas are typically like things 3 months out. because it got to be where I was putting things like in July, I need to be thinking about what I'm going to do for LGPE. I'm like, no, you don't need to think about that in July, or for festival, as we call it. But in October, November, I need to be making those decisions, what we're doing for festival evaluations and all that. So it's really helped me, and I think it's going to benefit not just me, but it's going to benefit like a lot of my students and my parents, just being able to know when those things are going on.
And when we talked about it, and as year after year, as it builds and you've got it, it gives you kind of a grid for each month or season that we go through as music teachers, which as you get asked to do another event, you can use it to inform those decisions. So you're not overbooking at a time when you and your students, or your students, have too many other things already that you're committed to. So in addition to the organizational tool that it becomes, which then helps free up your mind of the clutter of wondering what's going on, I think it helps make those decisions so that you're making decisions in the best interests of all parties involved, because you can see it all there. And so what Josh said he'd provide for us is we'll have a link that we'll post in the notes for the podcast, but a link to a blank template of all of the things in his calendars, like he was just talking about, when to prepare for this, when to have students do auditions and those kinds of things, so that that information is going to be there and that you don't have to worry about it. And it will basically let you know when it's time to start thinking about this. So I think that's a great idea. And I can't wait to get that link, because I'm going to do that now as I'm in my new role, after 30 some years of high school band, teaching middle school band. I'm going to go back and relook at all my plans that I did and really write down all of these things, so that next year, nothing will come as a surprise like it did this year. So thank you for this awesome tip. I'm guessing that you just didn't randomly one day say, I think I'd like to be more organized. Most of us come up with some of our best ideas because we get to a place where we need to create a tool or a space or something to help us solve a problem. And so what caused you to say, hey, I need to make this big change and hold myself accountable and do this? What was the trigger for that, for the event?
Right. So it goes back to, for me, a couple of years ago when the pandemic began. Our county, we were basically the directors. We were kind of left to figure all of this out in the midst of a pandemic, and we were told that you can keep operating as normal for now unless we have to shut it down. And so we were basically, like in my situation specifically, going week to week, not knowing if the plug was going to be pulled on the program. And so that was the 2020-2021 school year. The next school year, I thought things would get better, that once we were kind of, especially in our area, things were kind of calming down. And a lot of personal life things happened. I had a couple of family members that on my mother's side that had passed, and I would be at work Monday through Friday and then helping, on the weekends, and doing that for, a month and a half, 2 months while marching band was going on, and basically not having any time to rest. And, my band program had grown overnight. And so things that I was used to doing by myself and not needing help, I needed help, but I didn't really get the help I needed from parents. And then if, fast forward to, later in April of that school year, my father died, and he had been sick for some time. And his death was known he didn't have much time left, and but still didn't make things easier for me and my family, and there was just a lot of personal things that I went through, that like a lot of personal things and decisions that how I operated in life, that I just accepted that this is how I am, and this is just my personality, and it is what it is. and never really dealt with those things other than like going to therapy every now and then. But I was, about a year ago, it's funny, a year ago from this recording, I had a mental breakdown and told my boss that I need to go home for 2 days. And he, this is middle of May, everything's crazy at school. And he was very gracious enough to give me, let me use my personal days. And I just was going through burnout, essentially burnout with my personal life, burnout with my professional life. And I got to a point where I turned in my letter of resignation and had an application to a local gas station for a manager. And that's where I was. And, and I finally, I listened to the best person that gives me the greatest advice. That's my wife. Told me I just needed to take some time to invest in me, and got therapy that I needed. I got put on, anxiety medication, which is, been something I've been against for the longest time, but it's something that, like, at the same time, it's been something that has gotten me to think about these things, like doing a to-do list and doing having a checklist and thinking in that productivity space rather than just being on survival mode. And it was a tough season to go through, but it pushed me to realize I have to change, or I'm not going to make it. So,
welcome, Band Director Bootcamp listeners. If you're feeling a bit burnt out and are ready for support and accountability partners in your wellness and productivity, we have an amazing opportunity for you. Join our 90-day virtual boot camp, a community initiative designed for busy band directors like you who love their job but seek a more sustainable approach. We'll meet weekly, discuss your wellness goals, and develop strategies to help you achieve them. We'll tackle productivity hacks and fine-tune systems for the upcoming school year. With 35 years of experience, I've got some tricks and tips up my sleeve that I can't wait to share. So, as we move into a new season of our lives, if you want to feel empowered and supported by like-minded individuals, this is your chance. Reach out to me at banddirectorbootcamp.com or click on the link in our show notes to schedule a 15-minute call. Let's ensure this is the right fit for you, get you signed up, and embark on this wellness journey together. Because together, we rise.
And it was a tough season to go through, but it pushed me to realize I have to change, or I'm not going to make it. So
that sounds very familiar. Mine was in April. I was out the whole rest of the year. My dad had to take my students on their international trip. My dad, not me, because he was a band director. He was retired at the time. But yeah, same thing. And you have to hit that. And so appreciate the vulnerability. And I know from all the places I go and speak and talk to people, and through all of the things I get to do, your story is way too familiar to band teachers, band directors. Way too familiar. And so I know a lot of the folks listening right now can probably relate to Josh's, if not the details, but that whole feeling of the overwhelm and the I can't do this anymore, and not having the support you need for the program everybody else wants you to have. Plus you kind of want to, because band directors, we've got big egos. Let's be honest.
Right.
That's why we're good at what we do, right? Because we get up there and we're like, we know what we want. We want to help people get there. And yeah, but it takes a lot. And if you don't have the support and the community, chipping in and doing it and stuff, and then you had so many family issues to deal with. So, from that, you did the therapy, you started, thank God, the wife, my husband looked me in the eye too, same kind of thing. God love our spouses, right? Band director spouses. There's a special place in heaven for them.
Right.
But going through all that, and now look where you are. And so I think it provides our listeners maybe with some hope. If you're struggling with the same things, Josh's tool, this might be something that would be helpful for you, because it organizes the overwhelm so that get it out of your head. Get it down on paper. And then when you put it on paper, you know it's going to be okay. You don't go to a restaurant and place an order and then follow the waiter around and make sure he writes it down correctly, then go in the back and supervise all the other details, right? So same kind of thing here. Just anyway, I get off tangent, but you know where I'm going with this, right? So one of the things I wanted to, when I was younger in school, in college in the 1980s, I was telling Josh before we did this, we didn't talk about mental health or any of that, or how to sustain ourselves through the hard jobs of band directors. We were just told all the things we should do as soon as we graduated to have great programs. Nobody really cared about what happened to us. And that's why I was not prepared for that piece of being a band director. So I'm going to ask Josh here if he could offer a little bit of advice to our younger band, or newer, I should say, newer band directors, because some folks go back to school and come at it. But if you're newer into the classroom, what kind of advice would you hand over to these newer teachers that could help them maybe avoid this pitfall that you experienced?
So I think it would be twofold. The first would be to slow down. And we're in a life where we're constantly busy. We're constantly on the go. Everybody's busy. Everybody's got somewhere to be, but to slow down and really enjoy and find joy in where you're planted now. And I think with that, because it is uncomfortable, because it's causing us to having to stop and to think. And you know, I know for me, like I would sometimes borderline and like, I'm being lazy. I got to do this and this and this. But you know, we have to recognize where we are. And I say that because a lot of what we do is very relational. Like I tell people all the time that I'm like the Henry Hill of band directors. Like I'm okay at the music part of it. Like I can do fine, but it's the relationships that I excel at. And I've learned, you know, how to be able to just to take time and just to not rush through like the interactions, but to be patient and to ask those questions to those students, to where, you know, not every conversation is a deep conversation, but making them feel like that they are unique, and that I am wanting to get to know them, not because I have to or I should, because it's my job, because I want to. And I think the second thing for me would be just to realize that your role as a music teacher, as a band director, as an orchestra director, a chorus teacher, that your role in our career is not unique to you. You need to find those unique roles and unique positions in your life and invest time into those. And what I mean by that is for instance, I'm married and I have a 5-year-old. Anybody can be the band director at my school, you know, but whereas nobody can be the father to my daughter. Nobody can be the husband to my wife. And those relationships and those titles and those roles, invest your time into those. Not to say like band directing and doing what we do isn't important, but you have to realize that it's not all about, you know, getting your kids to play X and X pieces. It's you know, you got to find, you know, we talk about work-life balance. You have to find a way to make it work with your friends and family. So,
yep, good things to think about. So you brought a lot to the table today, and I'm really grateful for you taking the time to do this and for sharing this. And if you're listening to this and you think that tool is going to be helpful and you want that template, go check the notes out. We'll have a link to that. And hope you'll join us again next time when we come back with some more productivity and wellness tips here on the Band Director Bootcamp podcast. Talk to you next time.